You at some point told Ms. Bergquist at the counter in the sheriff's office that she had an option to simply show ID, and then she'd be on her merry way, right?
I'm not sure exactly what my words were, but I do remember speaking to her, yes.
You conveyed that type of offer, right?
Yes.
And in fact, yeah, I believe what you told her was that she's going to see the judge for recording at a courthouse, and she may or may not go home tonight. Remember saying that?
I do not.
Is that something you would say?
No.
You wouldn't say something like that. Because it's not true, right?
It may or may not be true. I don't make the rulings on what the judge says or what the judge does.
Right.
I can't tell anybody, and not allowed to even tell them. That is what the judge decides on sentencing verdicts, on anything that happens. That's not my decision.
Right, but didn't you tell her that you may or may not go home tonight? Didn't you tell her that she may or may not go home tonight?
I do not remember that.
Is that something that you would say?
No.
Why wouldn't you say something like that?
Because as I said, it's not my decision on if she is or if she's not going home. It would be the judge's decision. If a judge decides to hold somebody, then they decide to hold somebody. If they say that they're free to go, they're free to go. If they set bond, I do not.
Also, saying something like that to somebody, you may or may not go home tonight, it's a little bullying, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
What do you think? Do you think that sounds a little bit like a bullying tactic?
I'm not sure.
If you don't do what I'm saying, you may or may not go home tonight?
I'm not sure.
You don't think that sounds like a bullying tactic?
It's been asked and answered.
You don't think that's a bullying tactic?
Is this bullying? Can you, like, it's
You
been
think I'm
asked, it's
bullying?
been answered.
I'm bullying her?
You're asking the same question over and over. It's been asked and answered. It's already been answered.
What's your answer, just so we're clear for the record? You don't think this is a bullying tactic?
Once more.
Your objection is noted. Tell her to answer the question, please.
Yeah, you can still answer them.
I'm not sure.
But it's definitely something that you would not say, right?
Correct.
In fact, you said to her that they take it not so lightly. It can either be an incident report or you can go to bond court. Remember saying that?
No.
You wouldn't say that either, right?
Correct.
At one point, I think you said to her, this is your last chance or you're going to be arrested. Ever say that to her?
No.
Were you standing by the counter with her while Milazzo was in his office?
I was standing in the office, yes.
All right. This is not marked as an exhibit, but I believe there's a bait stamp here that's S07334-suspicious circumstance. It's the 2018 328 Axon Body 2 camera footage, which was provided in discovery. I'm going to play from the 2:15 mark. Right.
Take you downstairs. You will be arrested. We will fingerprint you, and we will run you. 9 to 5.
Spanish 204. Anybody sees the interpreter? Spanish 204.
You'll go to bond court at 1:30, and then the judge will decide what he will do for your recording at a courthouse. So you may or may not go home tonight.
Pausing it at 2:48. Did you hear a woman's voice just say you may or may not go home tonight?
Yes,
Who owns that voice? Do you know?
that was me.
So you would say something like that.
Yes, I did, yes.
Is there anything else that I'm going to have to show you video footage for in order to get a truthful answer?
As I stated, I have not watched that video, so I would not say that I remember from something that happened almost a year ago.
Did Milazzo say to you something to the effect of, what the fuck is going on today? Every crazy loon in the building is coming.
I do not remember exactly that.
Would it surprise you if he would say that, or would you not be so surprised?
That would surprise me for someone to say that, but I do remember something being said. The exact words I do not remember.
Okay. What did you mean when you told Ms. Bergquist that she may or may not go home tonight?
Based upon what happens in court, a judge decides whether someone is set for bond, if they post, if they don't post, if they're released, if they're not released. It is all based upon what a judge does.
So you were basically telling her, give me your ID and identify yourself, or you're going to be in this limbo where you may not go home tonight, right?
Joe?
I'm sorry, can you say it again?
You were basically telling Ms. Bergquist, give us your ID and identify yourself, or else you're going to go to the judge and you may or may not go home tonight.
We were requesting for her to give us an ID,
And if she wouldn't, what would happen to her?
that she would have to go to bond court, I think I said, for then the judge to decide what would happen.
And she may or may not go home that night, right?
Correct.
And you felt the need to tell her that would happen if she didn't give you an ID, right?
Yes, I guess I said that.
And again, the lawful basis to demand her ID was what?
So that we knew who she was.
Anybody you want to know who they are, you get to demand their ID and threaten to bring them to bond court if they don't give it to you in handcuffs? Is that the law?
She was outside videoing, which is something unusual, which is the reason why supervisor was called to go outside to find out that. That's the reason why.
Did you hear my question?
Yes.
What was my question?
Your question was, I can't give it to you exactly. I'm not.
I'll tell you what the question was.
Okay.
I asked you if you get to detain anybody who refuses to identify themselves to you and threaten them that you will bring them to bond court in handcuffs if they don't identify themselves.
So the question is,
Do you get to do that to anybody that you want as an officer of the law?
I guess I'm sorry, I'm not understanding the question. Are you asking if I can just stop anybody that I want and arrest them? So that would be no?
Are you allowed to stop anybody you want, ask them for ID, and if they refuse to give it to you, detain them and bring them to a judge where they'll have bond court and may or may not go home tonight? Do you get to do that to anybody that you want?
Who is acting unusual and suspicious?
Let's start
We have
with
the right.
Let's start with my question. Anybody. Do you get to do that to just anybody you want? Yes or no?
I don't know.
Well, I mean, the answer is obviously no, right?
I'm going to stick with I don't know.
Okay. You think that there's a possibility you get to just go over to anybody on the street and demand ID, and if they don't give it to you, you can detain them?
Not just anybody, no.
Okay, thank you. So we're on the same page now. Somebody has to do something to give you that right as an officer of the law, right?
Correct.
For example, if somebody acts in a way,
Acts like ACTS, acts?
right,
Is that what you're saying?
acts in a way
Okay.
that establishes reasonable suspicion that they're engaged in illegal activity, you get to do a brief detainment, right?
Correct.
And if there's probable cause that they're involved in criminal activity, then you get to arrest them, right?
Correct.